All right, we should be live, hopefully. So I'll give it a couple minutes to see if anybody shows up. So my name is Adam Starseed Bey. If this is your first time watching me, I am on YouTube, so just type in Adam Starseed Bey. Definitely like the page, subscribe, turn on notifications. I talk about many different things from spirituality, to stuff that's going on in the world, and just a different viewpoint on the world, right? We always live in such a diverse world that sometimes that we need to look and analyze, what's taking part around in our lives, and what can we do to make a change and a difference in people's lives and in the world. So that's pretty much what my channel is all about. So definitely subscribe and turn on notifications on YouTube. You can also check me out at facebook.com/realtalkadamstarseedbey. That's my main page. You can get a hold of me, and that's where I share a lot of my live videos and blogs and all that stuff on there as well. So definitely check it out. I am also on the fringeradionetwork.com. So definitely go to that page, check it out. There's a lot of cool and interesting interviews on there, including myself. I've just been added. So definitely check it out. It's ran by, it's called the Johnny Iron Show, Iron Johnny. So definitely like it. Check it out. I'm also on Spreaker.com/AdamStarseedBey. I got one thing on there right now, but it's going to grow and build, and it'll allow you guys to download these in the future, hopefully. So definitely check that out. Check out Johnny Iron as well on Spreaker.com. Yeah, definitely check out the FringeRadioNetwork.com. So yeah, man, I had to really spend some time and with Christ and try to figure out on how I wanted to present this. But what came to mind this week was the gnashing of teeth, right? The gnashing of teeth, and it's talked about a little bit in the Bible. It's definitely talked about quite a bit in Revelations as well. And the gnashing of teeth itself, just means that people are angry. They're prideful, arrogant, judgmental. That's pretty much the gist of the gnashing of teeth. Pretty much those who don't have a spiritual journey, or who don't know how to commune or talk with the Creator, right? They're so full of themselves. They want to allow people to look at them as their own idol, right? A lot of people use this vessel, this vehicle, as their idol, and they feel they need to express themselves in a way, in a godly like fashion, right? You see all of these parades and this, being prideful in so many things, right? Whether it be gay or lesbian, or for Trump, or for the Democrats, for the Republic, or all of these protests, or whatever it may be, right? It's some form of trying to get across, right? Some good, some bad, but a lot of times it puts you in a spotlight, and it can put you in an ugly spotlight, right? So we really have to look at that as a whole of why do they feel they need to do that, right? Why do you feel that you need to make yourself stand out, right? And this is definitely a double-edged sword, because a lot of people hide within themselves, hide what they feel they are, or what they think they are, right? So a lot of people hide in the closet, and it could be anything. If you're attracted to the same sex, and the reason why I'm bringing gay and lesbian up, because I think it's really a good way of explaining the diverse nature of people, right? A lot of people are confused, or don't know how to deal with the world, or looking for acceptance within the world, right? There's a lot of things. I have friends who are gay and lesbians, and they're cool. They're cool, and they're fun to be around. That's just who they are, right? But I do feel that if they overexpose themselves, not my friends, but just sometimes people feel they have to overexpose. And that's where the gnashing of teeth come in, because you try to commune with these people who are protesting or trying to get their point across. This leads into the gnashing of teeth and anger. Like if I went and go and talk to those people, there's going to be a lot of angry people and wondering why I'm there. I don't belong there because I'm not a part of what they're trying to portray. And that's not where you want to be. If you want to make a change, you have to be mature about it. You have to be diverse, and you got to be able to speak to people and listen to all walks of life, because people are going to have questions at the end of the day. Why are you doing this? And what are you trying to bring across? A lot of people who do protest in that nature will do the gnashing of teeth, will be angry and just spit at you and just cuss you out. And you can see that all through any YouTube video. You look at protests and people try to be calm, cool, collective. They'll just kick you to the curb, and that's the end of it. And it's the same way in the Christian community or in a lot of the church communities, is that they'll just start throwing stones at you, right? The gnashing of teeth in churches, Christians, and things of that nature. They'll just throw stones at you because you ask questions that should not be asked, right? You weren't following their curriculum to a T, so they started throwing stones at you without even giving you a chance to have a conversation. So that's pretty much what we're going to talk about, and I feel that the Spirit's probably going to allow this to grow and blossom, because I really didn't know what to talk about with this gnashing of teeth. But we deal with gnashing of teeth daily. Gnashing of teeth, again, is a form of anger, rage, bitterness, pridefulness, things like that. So we have to be able to observe and analyze and look at ways to mature in that manner. And we ourselves, and this is the important thing, we ourselves have to go through our own gnashing of teeth, right? We have to swallow our own pride and our own ego and realize the faults of the self, and just some of the lustfulness or the lost nature that we take part in, right? Take part in, because a lot of us get lost in this world of delightfulness. Again, Eden translates into delightfulness. This world is pleasing and delightful to the eye, and it's so delightful, right? So many apples that we can take and eat, that we end up getting poisoned at the end of the day because it looks so beautiful and delightful. And we all fall victim into this. We all fall victim to the gnashing of teeth. So I'm going to go ahead and read the scriptures of the gnashing of teeth, and then we'll go ahead and go from there. It's pretty self-explanatory, but again, it'll give you guys some stuff to study. So Luke 13:28. In that place there will be weeping and the gnashing of teeth, anger, bitterness, judgment. When you see, and here's the key things, when you see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, those spirits, and those spirits have names. So Abraham is beloved. Isaac is, let me get my little cheat sheet here. Isaac is, they will laugh or they will rejoice. And Jacob is the offender or the wrongdoers. So in that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, anger, bitterness, things like that. When you see the beloved, when you see those who laugh, and when you see the wrongdoers, and also this brings into the prophets and the false prophets. So, and all the prophets and the false prophets in the kingdom of God, it says, or in the kingdom of the I am, which is within the self, or in the kingdom of God, this world itself, right? There are so many different elements there. But yourselves will be thrown out, right? Those who claim back their birthright, claim back their soul, realize who they are, and that we're not of this world. We're visiting this world, but we're not of this world. We're not of this world. So you will be cast out from the false prophets, from your eyes will be open from this Garden of Eden, right? This Garden of Delightfulness. Your eyes will be awake and open, so you don't fall victim to those who claim themselves to be love. And this is a hard pill to swallow, right? Because we're so used to these names, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? It talks about the descendants and the ancestral generational history of these characters, right? You know, if you went to church, I was born and raised in a Christian home, and we're so used to these names, but we lack the knowledge, right? This is why research is key. We lack the knowledge of what the Bible is trying to tell us. And I'm going to be reading scripture here in Matthew, where Christ himself tells his prophets why he spoke in parables and what we need to be aware of. So I'll read that here in a little bit. So we have to be able to realize what is being portrayed here, and why are we falling victim into all of these false prophets and false doctrines, right? On the dollar bill itself, it says, "In God we trust." It's not the creator above that the United States is claiming we're under. It is in God we trust, and claiming that they have brought their heaven down. They have created their own kingdom and their own judges, and they have created their own wealth and money that is separate from the kingdom of the creator, you know, and they're plastered their false prophet of "In God we trust" all over the place. In God we trust all over the place. It looks delightful to the eye, right? You know, of having the United States say, "Hey, God we trust. We have God to worship the United States," or has blessed the United States. But at the end of the day, there is a deceitful false prophet nature behind that. But again, research is key in this, and that's why I'm here, is to just help aid you in research. You know, this is what I discovered. It can help you as well. So anyway, so again, Luke 13:28, "In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth when you see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the spirits of the beloved, of those who laugh, and of those of wrongdoing, and all the prophets in the kingdom of this earthly plane. But yourselves will be saved. If you have been anointed with the Spirit of Christ, you shall be saved and be thrown out of that false reality." Matthew 13:42, and this is what I'll be reading here shortly. And they will be throwing them into the furnace of fire." Fire is a form of purification, purity, right? "In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." So for those who are not on a spiritual journey, right, it's going to be a hard pill for people to swallow, because they don't want to give themselves up, right? You know, they don't want to give up their sin. They don't want to give up who they have created for themselves, right? They've created a false entity. They've allowed entities to consume their body, so they think they know who they are, but at the end of the day, they don't know who they are, because they haven't claimed back their birthright. They've been born to land of programs, and they have created themselves from those programs. You know, and it's just, you have to be able to surrender the element of that self to claim back your birthright. Hopefully this makes sense. So you have to go through that purification process when you go and visit and surrender with the Creator, or be anointed with the Spirit of Christ within you. So there is definitely going to be a lot of weeping and the gnashing of teeth, a lot of anger and bitterness, because you have to deal with yourself. You have to deal with your shadow selves that I've been talking about a lot. You know, you have to be able to commune in that place of meditation, in that place of prayer, and deal with your shadow selves. Realize that this idol you've created for yourself is not really you, but the real light is within the self, is within where your heart is, right? Your soul, your birthright. You know, and that's where we have to go through. But we have to go through fire to discover the real us, the real us. So fire is a good thing, right? We've been taught that hellfire and brimstone to stay away and all that stuff, but it's just a purification process. We all have to go through a purification process. We have to go through perceived hell to discover Christ a lot of times. We have to go through our darkest hour, right? To really discover that true light that we all have within us. We just have to surrender and let go of our prideful desires or the idol that we think we are. Getting a little deep there, but it's real talk right there. Psalm 112:10. The wicked will see it and be vexed. He will gnash his teeth and melt away. He will be angry and just melt away. His soul will melt away. The desire of the wicked will perish. The desire of the wicked will perish. Those who don't want to go on a spiritual journey, they live by the worldly desires, right? They live by this Garden of Eden, this world of delightfulness. They eat, sleep, and breathe it. And because of that, they have no life within themselves. They have thrown their birthright out. They have thrown their soul away, and don't even realize it, right? They're angry, they're bitter, they don't know why. In life, they always feel like there's something missing. I felt that many times before when I wasn't truly walking with the light of Christ. I really always felt like there was something missing. And it was because I gave my birthright away to all these entities, which is something I definitely need to talk about more. But we really do give our birthright away to all these entities. There can be an entity known as depression, an entity or spirit known as pridefulness. There can be an entity or spirit known as anger, bitterness, betrayal, self-doubt. All these are spirits. And there's good spirits too. There's a spirit of love, spirit of joyfulness, spirit of discovery. There's many different spirits that aid us through our spiritual journey, both a positive way and a negative way. And we have to realize, what spirits are being attached to us and what part of our soul or energy have we given these entities, right? Because each of these entities is a form of us, right? We have many shadow beings within ourselves, right? The darkness that a lot of times are misunderstood. A lot of these shadow beings harness the energies, and it's an energy conduit within us, and we feed these different frequencies. So if you're depressed a lot, you're giving a lot of the energy to that depressed entity, and you're allowing that entity to grow and mature and take over your body. But you can also switch the currents, right? You realize that spirit of depression's there, but you need to realize you don't need to be feeding it that much. So you realize it's there, accept it for what it is, and move on to something that is going to benefit you. So like the spirit of love, you want to have love in your life, so you want to switch that current to that love energy and frequency and build that shadow being more, so it allows yourself to grow and mature into that more of that love aspect. And then you got the spirit of maturity. You want to feed that energy to that spirit and have that mature state of mind as well, right? It's just we have to realize what kind of energy we're putting into each situation, right? As within, so without. A lot of this stuff, almost everything, happens within the self. We choose the outcome of how our energy is going to be dealt in this outside world. And we have to realize that we can only deal with what we can deal with. We can't deal with everything. We can't change everybody. Each situation will be different, but we can at least deal with and handle what we are able to control, right? Deal with what you can control. What you can't control, surrender it to the Creator, surrender it to Christ, and do what you can to control what you can. At the end of the day, that's something that I've been strongly being taught about as well, as learning to control what I can so you don't get overwhelmed, right? You don't get overwhelmed and create that gnashing of teeth within the self again. So it's a huge balance game. It's a huge energy game. And that's something that we have to deal with on a daily basis, especially with those who are gnashing of the teeth all the time, who are just constantly complaining and judging, and just don't have any spiritual journey or spiritual nourishment within their lives. They don't know any better because they're not being fed that energy, or their birthright, right? They have no claim to their birthright, their soul. They have given it to other entities. So they feel the way they do, because they have forfeited their soul, right? They have forfeited their soul. They haven't gone back and claimed back their spirit, which is why, it talks about Christ and giving your life to Christ. It's really that you're being anointed by the Spirit again. Christ translates as the anointing. So your spirit is anointed again, cleansed, purified by the fire, and then you reclaim your birthright back, and then you're able to communicate with the Creator again and be able to communicate with the spirits that surround us, which plays a huge part, a big part in our daily lives. So definitely very interesting. Matthew 8:10, but the sons of the kingdom, or the children of the kingdom, will be cast out into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And I found this interesting. There's a couple scriptures that talk about this outer darkness, right? We have a within darkness, within the I am self, but there's this outer darkness that is this earthly plane. We are surrounded by outer darkness. And darkness is not a representation of the devil or Satan or things like that, right? It plays a small part. But darkness just means that it is unrevealed. It is hidden. And you have to do research, and you got to seek out. You have to bring a light into the darkness of what you don't understand or what you don't know. You have to seek it out, find yourself a lantern, and start bringing that light into the darkness of the questions you have in your life. It's all hidden symbolisms. So when it says on here, the children of the kingdom will be cast out into the outer darkness, a lot of times, this is what I talked about in the previous video, about Venus and the connection of Venus, right? Venus is attached to the bright morning star, which is attached to Lucifer, Satan, as well as attached to Jesus Christ. And then you do more research and you realize that Venus is attached to Ishtar and Inanna. So at the end of the day, the suns are really planets. They're little mini suns. So each planet is a mini sun. So we got the sun, and then we got the big sun, right? All the suns in the heavens. And I think that's a mistranslation as well, because a lot of astrology is within the Bible. So whoever translated the Bible, which would be the Vatican, encrypted it. So it still said the suns, right? But they switched it to suns and into that father figure at the end of the day. But it really is talking about the suns, the planets that are above us, right? As above, so below. And I've talked about this many times in my videos, is that the stars that we look at in the sky could very well be our own soul, right? Is that we are seated with the Creator above, but we're also in this plane of existence experiencing. So we're up there and down here at the same time. So we have to really realize that. So if you look up in the sky and you see a star that really calls your name, that could really be your soul in the sky, and you're communicating with your true self up there. So it's real beautiful stuff, and that's why we have to study the Bible more, because the Bible is universal, and at the end of the day, this will speak with all walks of life. We just have to bring it to new light. We have to bring and represent the Bible into a new way of communicating with people, because this Bible is designed as a universal language for all generations, because it talked about past generations, but this can also be utilized for future generations as well. This is why I'm bringing new meanings when I read through the scriptures, to help you guys see that it's not just a religion or that or a part of history, right? A lot of this was a part of history, but it also tells a tale for each generation to come as well. So it's beautiful, man. It really is. So anyways, we'll continue on so I can read the scripture I want to read here. Matthew 24:51. And he will cut them in pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Right? Dissecting yourself. You got to realize that, again, you were surrounded by spirits. I was reading a little bit about infirmity. I think that's how you pronounce it. Infirmity? I believe so. Yeah, infirmity. Which means that you were unbalanced, you're unaligned, right? Talking about the woman in the scriptures, that she was knelt down so far, right? Because she had a spirit that took over her body for 18 years with all this disease and things like that. So Christ healed her and allowed that spirit to vanish from her being. And once that spirit vanished, she went from the hump state, and she was realigned and adjusted, and she was able to sit up straight for the first time. And that's what we all go through. We have to realize that we are hypocrites already. We have to realize that we are already hypocrites. We have to surrender that element, that we think we know who we are, but yet we don't know who we are, right? It says in Revelations, they know not what they do. They know not what they do because they don't, because they are surrounded by spirits. They're surrounded by shadow beings that control them. You're right. We have parasites within our bodies that go up to our brain and control us. So we got to realize and surrender that we know not what we do. We know not what we do, but we can be awake of what we do, and we can be aware of what we do. We just have to get past and realize and surrender and let us know that we are hypocrites at one time. We do have shadow elements that control us, or these entities that control us, and we have to learn how to balance those entities that surround us, right? We don't fight them, right? Like we're taught in church, we don't fight the devil. We don't resist the devil. We don't fight demons. We don't resist demons. We sit these demons down. We put them in their place, right? Just like with Christ when he was walking with Satan, right, in the desert. And Satan translates as adversary. The adversary of your soul is trying to persuade you and say, hey, I'm going to give you all these riches of the world. I'm going to give you this, and this. What's pleasing to the eye. And Christ is like, hey, man, get behind me, Satan. I'm not going to let you control my life. And that's what we have to do with all these entities. Whether it be an entity, again, like I talked about earlier, of depression or anxiety, or pridefulness or anger, or being a hypocrite. It is also an entity itself. We have to put these shadows in their place, the demons in their place. Be like, hey, demons, sit down and let's realign ourselves. Let's deal with this situation right now. I'm in charge. The Christ energy is in charge. I'm not going to allow you to control my energy and my life anymore. And we have to surrender that and realize that. That's why Christ was saying, you are all hypocrites, because we are not mature enough in the spirit, not the world, but enough in the spirit, and claiming our birthright back, because we're not taught this. So we have to deal with this situation ourselves. If you're having crappy days all the time, you're depressed and things of that nature, you need to sit your butt down, realign yourself, write down whatever is troubling you. And this is why it's so important to have a relationship with the Creator and have a relationship with Christ in your life, because you gotta have a go home to place at the end of the day. You have to. If you don't have a go home to place, a place to commune with the Creator, you're not going to have a place to align yourself, right? Meditation and praying is key. But with praying and meditation, what is that? That is where you commune with the Creator. That's where you learn how to heal yourself, fix yourself. That's why Christ said, I am the way, truth, and life. No one goes to the Father or the Creator except through me. You say that to yourself and give yourself that confidence of like, well, Christ said through me. Wouldn't that be through myself as well? So you sit down, you pray and meditate and discover the Creator within you, and you got to surrender and listen. So you know what you need to heal, you know what you need to fix within your life. And that's true talk right there. That's real talk. And we all have to go through that. We have to swallow our ego, our pridefulness, or what we think we know, right? What we think we know it all, right? But we don't know nothing at the end of the day. So we really have to just sit down, become mature-minded, and just find a way to balance out our lives. I deal with this daily all the time, right? I created the ego, or the shadow being of anxiety. I created that just because of the chaotic atmosphere that I'm surrounded by about 80%, if not 90% of my life. I created the energy of anxiety. And it's tough. It really is, but I'm able to actually understand more on why people create anxiety, on why there's so many people who have anxiety now, so I can relate with them now. So, it sucks that I have it, but I've learned to accept it, and I've learned that it actually is going to help people with anxiety because I've dealt with it as well. I've learned how to control it, but it's given me an experience so I can better relate to it, because so many people have anxiety issues. And I know where it came from, why it's there. And we just have to learn and grow. I think that's one of the key things that we learn in a spiritual journey, is that sometimes we go through hardships and we start cussing out God and saying, why would you give me this in my life right now, right? We curse God. I always tell people about this story of what happened to me with my nephew, right? He only lived to be a month, and then he passed away. And during that time, I was depressed anyways, and I just was cursing God. I was just cussing him out, saying, hey man, why would you do this to my nephew? Why would you do this to their parents, right? It just totally destroyed anything that they could have had. It turned everything around, right? So it really tested my faith and understanding on things, and just I was so angry. Of why God would take a child away so young. But that was an experience I needed to see, and I think we all have to go through these experiences to have a better understanding of what the Creator is showing us. And we have a better understanding of what Christ's light can do within our lives, to help us as we go through this gnashing of teeth throughout our life, because we all go through it consistently, but we have to have a go home to place to commune with the Creator. And that's so very important at the end of the day. Pray, meditate, commune with the Creator, commune with Christ. Daily is key, man. It really is. Way of aligning yourself again. So beautiful stuff, man. Let's see. Matthew 25:30. I love how a lot of these are in Matthew. So throw out the worthless slave into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Throw out the worthless slave into the outer darkness, right? Realize that you do have self-worth, right? Sometimes we do feel worthless. Sometimes we feel enslaved, that we're just constantly, we're having to go to work day in, day out, paying these bills, going to work, paying bills, going to work, paying bills. We feel enslaved, we feel trapped, we feel like, that's our existence, right? We feel worthless because that's our only existence. That's the outer darkness. A lack of understanding of why we are going back and forth to work and paying these bills consistently all the time. It's just repeat over and over again, paying them bills, going to work, paying them bills, going to work. Sometimes people get laid off. How am I going to pay those bills? How am I going to pay those bills? You just got to realize that when we're going through those states of trials and tribulations, that's why we have to again get back into that spiritual journey and be able to align ourselves again and balance ourselves again, and look that there's a lot more to life than just paying those bills, right? We have to do that. That's just part of this program. At the end of the day, a lot of people feel they need to quit their jobs and things of that nature, but you got to be mature minded. We live in a matrix structure. We have to do what we got to do, right? We can change things, we can observe things. The world is changing consistently. The world is changing in a positive way, and spirituality is coming back in a big way. Christ's light is coming back in a big way, right? So we got to look at that element of the positive element, because otherwise, you are going to get thrown into the darkness of unknowingness of why you're doing what you're doing. If you're just living in your own self-doubt and go to work, pay your bills, watch TV, and go to sleep and just repeat, you're not going to be happy at all, period. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to find happiness in your life. The happiness is within here. The happiness is when you claim back your birthright, which is your soul. That's when you discover happiness. And it takes work, and you got to want it, and you got to know how to get it. Like I said, so many videos that I've been talking about, people don't know how to pray. They don't know where to begin. People don't know how to meditate. They don't know where to begin. They don't know what they're looking for. They don't know how to communicate with the Creator. They don't know if there is a Creator. They don't know how to communicate with Christ. They don't know what they're looking for. They don't know what spirits are. They don't know how to interact with spirits. They don't know what this inner voice that they're hearing. They don't know anything. They have no guides. They have no mentors. They have nothing to go by. They have no one that has told them what a spiritual journey is, how it can benefit them. They haven't been able to look past a religion element as well. They don't know how to look past that. They think of Christ, they think of religion and the Bible. That's it, period. They need to go to church, period. They don't want to go through that. They don't want nothing to do with that, because they know the hypocrites that dwell and live among in the churches. So people have a hard time finding what a spiritual journey is, a self-discovery. They don't know where to begin. They don't know how to begin. That's why I'm here, to help you guys to know what to look for, to know what to research, and to know that there is hope within yourself. There is a way of healing within yourself. Christ's light is already in you. You just have to do the work and discover that light and surrender to that light, that Christ light in you, and surrender and start walking the spiritual journey. Start walking that journey into the spiritual. And that's something that you just have to become mature in. At the end of the day, you got to surrender to it. If you don't surrender to it, you're never going to have the encounter and that love and happiness that you're looking for at the end of the day. So that's deep, man. That's the power of the Spirit right there. Is that you just have to allow it to take over your body. Allow that anointing to flow through you, right? I inspire myself when I make these videos. That's one of the reasons why I make videos, is because it inspires me. I'm allowed to see what the Spirit has done with my life, and I'm able to share through these videos my testimonies to help you guys see the light within you, right? See the light within you. And that's the true beauty, and that's true teachings of why we're here, right? To shine the light of Christ to you is to share the testimonies that we experience. We're not perfect. I don't have all the answers. I know something. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. So we just have to learn together, share these testimonies together, be real with one another, so we can show people that light and say, hey, Adam was talking about this, let me go research this. Hey, you know, Adam's light is real strong. You know, I see that there is a love that's coming from somewhere. You know, what is that light? What is that light in Adam? You know, what is this that he's talking about, of talking with the Creator? What is this? You know, that's why I make videos, to present that out there, so then people can think. They'll want to go and seek that light and discover that light. But only you have that will and intent to surrender to that light and discover that light as well. So beautiful stuff, man. So I think I'll go ahead. I'm going to read, because I've been talking for, 40 minutes already. So I want to read this real quick, and then we'll get out of here. So this is Matthew 13, and I'm going to read 10 all the way down. So, and the disciples came and said unto Christ, unto the anointing, why do you speak in parables? Why do you speak in parables? And Christ answered, the anointing answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries, the darkness of the kingdom of the heavens, or of the kingdom of I am. But to them it is not given. For whoever has, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. I hate this King James Version. All right, so let me retool this here a little bit here. So he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of the I am, or the kingdom of heaven. But to them it is not given, for those who lack a spiritual journey. For whoever seeks the spiritual journey, the anointing shall be given to them. Right? Christ, the light, will be given to them. They will be given abundance within the Spirit. But whoever does not have a spiritual journey, their soul shall be taken away. Even therefore I speak to them in parables. So basically, you know, they will live in darkness at the end of the day. They won't understand. They're monkey see, monkey do elements. You know, that's what I've been talking about, is that so many people go to church and they don't know why they're there. They hear about Christ and they hear a lot of talk of hell or the rapture or things like that to stray you away from having that personal encounter with Christ. So that's why you have to commune within. So when someone speaks in parables, like Christ spoke in parables, for those who have true ears to hear and true eyes to see, or the eye to see, will know what the Spirit says, because their spirit has been activated. But if your spirit hasn't been activated, you ain't going to know yin from yang. You're not going to know potato from potato. Right? You're not going to know anything at all. That's why I was saying people don't know how to pray. People don't know how to meditate. They don't know. And a lot of times people don't want to know. They don't want to know. They don't want to have a spiritual journey. They make excuses on why they don't want to have a spiritual journey. You know, I have friends who are atheists. They give the excuse of why they don't want to have a spiritual journey and why they don't want to have happiness, right? The mindset of old scientists of claiming that the mind is what controls the body. But at the end of the day, scientists have also proven that the soul is what allows the body to function. The mind is just the engine that runs this suit, and we don't know the full capacity of this engine. We're only going like 30-40 miles an hour on this mind, but we could go 1,000 miles an hour if we truly knew and learned on what this engine can do and what this vehicle can do, right? We don't know the full capacity of it. The soul is separate from the mind, but the soul is what makes us who we are. So it's beautiful stuff, man. All right, so let me see if I can decrypt some more of this King James Version. I was trying to find a different version. Maybe I should. Here, let me get a different version here. There we go. We'll just read this version. Well, no, actually, hold on here. Man, it's amazing how many different versions of the Bible there are there. Alright, so hopefully this will be a lot better. Alright, and let's see here. For whoever has to him, blah, blah, blah. Therefore I speak to them in parables, because while seeing they do not see, and while hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. In their case, the prophecy of Isaiah is being fulfilled. In their case, the prophecy of Isaiah. Let me see if I wrote that down. I don't think I did. Isaiah. I don't think I got that on here yet. I don't. So look up Isaiah, the meaning behind Isaiah, and you'll kind of have a better understanding of what it means. Which says, you will keep on hearing, but will not understand. You will keep on seeing, but will not perceive. For the heart of these people has become dull. With their ears they scarcely hear. They have closed their eyes. Otherwise they would see with their eyes, hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and return, and I would heal them. They would understand. They would understand. They would know that they need to go back within themselves. They lack that perception. They are just controlled by the ways of the world. People are controlled by the ways of the world. People are controlled by the corruption of the governments and the political structures of business, right? People are so controlled by all these elements. They don't have a go home to place. They don't have a go home to place to go. That's a tongue twister there. They don't know where to go. They're so stressed out over this. I even get stressed out over it. But I have a go home to place at the end of the day, that I commune and fellowship with the Creator. I can cry if I need to. I can be angry if I need to. Just saying, hey, why is this happening now? I can have that communication with Christ, and I have that communication with the Creator. Be like, why is this happening now? Is there a light at the end of this tunnel? What's going on? A lot of times that voice will just say, it will be made known to you. It will be made known to you. Just be calm, be firm, be mature. It will be made known to you. Sometimes I'll be like, I don't know if I can take this anymore, right? We've all been there. I've been there many times. Just asking Christ, be like, man, I don't know how much more I can take of this, right? But at the end of the day, it makes sense. At the end of the day, I can sit down with Christ and say, man, yeah, you were right. I just need to be patient at the end of the day. And that's something that it's because I surrendered to that light at the end of the day. But those who don't surrender are not going to understand anything. Those who are swallowed up in their own egoness and pride of themselves, what they think they know of themselves, they're never going to get it. They're never going to understand. If they listen to me, they don't get what I talk about. This message ain't for them. It's not. But this message is meant for somebody. So if this message is meant for you, that's why I made this video. It's meant for somebody, whether it be for one person or it could be for thousands. It's hard to say, but it's out there. And that's why we have to talk about it. So anyways, but blessed are your eyes because they do see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I say to you that many prophets and righteous men desire to see what you see. Let me say that again. For truly I say to you that many prophets and righteous men, righteous people of the earth, desire to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and did not hear it. That's powerful, man. So we have all these prophets and preachers and pastors all claiming to know all the answers and truth about what God wants in people's lives, and what Christ wants in your lives, and what the Palladians want in your lives, and what the Arcturians want in your lives, and what the reptilians want in your lives, right? We hear all these prophets and preachers talking to us, but at the end of the day, they've had no spiritual encounters. They don't know how to communicate with the Creator. They don't know how to communicate with Christ. And they get jealous of us because we know how to communicate. We have heard the Spirit of Christ. We know how to communicate. We know how to go back into that sacred place, into that go home to place, into the heavenly realm, and talk with the Creator and talk with Christ, right? We have that experience, and they don't. So they can talk all they want about it. It sounds all beautiful and sugar-coating the ears, right? It looks so beautiful. They give you all these apples to eat, but at the end of the day, it goes down bitter, and it's just nasty and disgusting. And there's just no fruit in it. There's no life within their words at the end of the day. This is why this is your spiritual journey. People can talk. People can say miraculous things, signs and wonders all over the place, playing with their magic and showing you magic tricks. But at the end of the day, if you were not having these spiritual encounters, if you were not communicating with the Creator, if you were not walking with Christ, then that's all you're seeing is signs and wonders. That's it. You're not experiencing the signs and wonders within you. You're just listening to other people, just assuming things, right? The rapture. Everybody consistently talks about the rapture over and over again. People spend money. They spend money on these pastors. Again, the false prophets. And then, oh, that's another date. Oh, it's another date. And so on and so forth, right? It's just a lack of knowledge, a lack of communing with the Creator and with Christ at the end of the day. They have no way of understanding what that means, right? Logic will always overshadow the soul, but the soul will never overshadow the logic. The soul will always outshine the logic at the end of the day. and that's something that we just have to learn as we grow, right? You know, those who lack knowledge and wisdom shall perish. But that's a double-edged sword, because those who have knowledge and wisdom can lack in the Spirit. So they know everything, but they don't have the experience. So there's a difference between that at the end of the day. That's why it's so important to not listen to that I have all the answers. It's just, you know, if it's a true prophet, a true seer, a true rabbi that's talking to you, they're going to say, hey, go do research, go sit down and talk with the Creator and Christ and see what Christ has for you, right? This is what Christ has done in my life. Now let's see what Christ is going to do in your life at the end of the day. So you don't have the gnashing of teeth at the end of the day. You're not angry or bitter and why you're not having these spiritual encounters, but these other people are, right? If you want to have a spiritual encounter, sit down, pray and meditate, and then start having those spiritual encounters. Don't get angry, don't get bitter just because it doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen if you sit in a calm place, right? Just like what Bruce Lee says, be water, my friend, because you need to surrender to the waters. You need to surrender to the ethers that surround you. So then you can become one and connected. This is why it's important to go out to nature, so then you can commune with the elementals that live in the nature, and you just get a whole atmosphere, different atmosphere than what you get when you're in a big city. I always tell people, don't live in them big cities, man, because they mess you up. Live in a place that's a small town that's surrounded by nature, so you can get out there. Whatever it takes for you to get on a spiritual journey and get a solid foundation, that's where you need to go at the end of the day. You gotta find and discover that spiritual journey at the end of the day. So powerful stuff right there. Let's see. Let's see here. Hear then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what has been sown in his heart, right? The deceitfulness or the shadow element will come and take you like a thief in the night, right? Christ will come to you like a thief in the night. You can be taken away and be trapped in the world. And sometimes Christ will come to you in a thief of the night. I don't have the scripture to it, but you can look it up. Christ will come to you like a thief in the night and just be like, bam! Yo, here I am. I've been here with you the whole time. This is what happened to me. In your darkest moment, Christ will just come to you, break into your house and say, hey, I've been here the whole time. Wake up. What are you doing? Why have you allowed yourself to get into this situation? Wake up. Are you ready to surrender? Are you ready to start this spiritual journey? And your answer is either going to be yes or no at the end of the day. But Christ will always keep that door open. And sometimes he will just bash that door open and say, hey, are you ready? But sometimes people just spit in his face saying, psh, no. And Christ will be like, okay, well, that's your choice. And that's it. So we just have to be open-minded and move that step forward, right? We're not here to preach and break down doors. That's not our job. That's why a lot of Christian people lack that knowledge, right? We're here to spread the good news, but we're not here to preach, right? We're not here to preach of saying, oh, Christ is going to come here, and then he's going to get rid of all the evil souls. You need to save your soul before Christ comes. No. The good news means that you need to share a testimony of what Christ has done in your life and be mature about it and say, hey, if you would like the light of Christ in your life, let's sit down and talk. Let's claim back your birthright. Would you like to claim back your birthright? You ask him this, would you like to claim back your birthright? Do you want your soul back? Do you want to be able to open up that doorway to the heavens, to the Creator? Do you want this in your life? If they say yes, awesome. Let's sit down, teach them the basics, praying, meditation, and they go from there. But if they don't understand what you're saying, and they just want that light, like an easy ticket or an easy ride to save their soul, they're not ready. They're not ready. And that's it. That's all we have to do, right? Those, again, who lack knowledge will perish. Those who don't study these diaries, right? The Bible is just a big book of diaries, of poetry, of astrology, and just a way and a better understanding of the hero's journey and just what we go through in our daily lives, and that there's alternatives to make your life better, and that you can change the outcome of your life. What you can control, you can control at the end of the day. So beautiful stuff, man. Let's see. This is the one on whom seed was sown beside the road. The one on whom seed was sown on the rocky places. This is the person who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no firm root in himself, but is only temporary, and with affliction or persecution arises because of the word. Immediately he falls away. Just means that you can be filled with the Spirit for a little bit, but if you don't stay grounded, you don't stay rooted within the earth, you don't stay rooted within the Spirit, within the soul, within the light of Christ, you don't have a strong foundation, you're going to fall and be led astray again, right? You're going to be cut off just like that, because you thought that you had the easy ride, right? You thought, oh, if I give my life to Christ, that's it. I don't have to do nothing else. I'm saving. I'm a sinner. I'm not perfect, whatever, and life goes on. No, it don't work that way. It don't. You have to consistently communicate with the Creator, because once you're on a spiritual journey, you have a job to do at the end of the day, and it's spreading that good news and sharing the testimonies and walking the experience, talking the experience, sharing the experience. What did you learn when you went through the experiences, and sharing those testimonies again so people can relate. Like I said, the spirit of anxiety grew within me, right? And I can picture that as a curse, but in actuality, it's kind of good it grew, because I'm able to relate with people on why they have anxieties, how that anxiety grew, and how to control that anxiety if it starts to rise or if it starts to growl trying to take control. We just have to look at ways to stand our ground. And just think outside the box. That's what the Spirit's telling me. Is think outside the box, right? Don't allow yourself to be trapped in this little box and think that you can't open up that doorway outside that box because you're trapped in it. Open up that doorway and step out of the box, and then discover what is out there, right? It can look dark, it can look scary because you don't know what's around the corner. But if you grab your lantern and you start walking within the darkness, you're going to be able to see a whole new world. You're going to be like, oh, what's down this corridor? Let me go and discover and see what's down this corridor. Oh, hey, look, there's a door over here. Wow, I never knew there was a door here. Let me open up this door and see what's behind this door, right? Seek and ye shall find. Seek and ye shall find. If you want to discover the Spirit's real, if you want to discover if the Creator's real, if you want to discover if Christ is real, then you're on the right path, right? Then you're on the right path at the end of the day. I find it fascinating too. There's so many things I can talk about. But at the end of the day, it's been a consistent thing that I've been talking about the past, I'd say 2 months of learning new ways on how to discover the Creator within you and how to discover Christ within you. I really do feel that that's a path everybody is looking for right now, right? Like I said, I have a lot of people on Facebook who are discovering Christ for the first time, who have been on a spiritual journey, but they weren't Christ-centered. They didn't have a strong foundation. They believed in the fairies and the oh, I love you, you love me element, but they didn't love themselves and they didn't find that light within them. So once they discovered that light, boom, their life changed, right? So I really do feel that people are wanting to discover what that Christ light is, but they don't want to go through all the crap that religion has created to discover Christ's light, right? It's that false light. A lot of the churches have created the false light and false hope. That true church you commune with is within you. The temple you're looking for is within you. It's not a church you're looking for, it's a temple. It's the I am temple that is built within you. Solomon's temple is built within you. So, that's what we have to look at the end of the day. Man, I could just keep talking on and on here. Let's see what else we got here. And let's see. Yet he has no firm root in himself, but is only temporary. And when affliction and persecution arises because of the word, immediately he falls away. And the one on whom seed was sown among the thorns, this is the person who hears the word, and the worry of the world and the deceitfulness of the wealth chokes the word, and it becomes unfruitful. What does the term word mean, right? Word, the power of words. Words are magic. Every time we speak, we are putting a spell onto the world. We're putting a spell on the world, right? Spelling bees, right? We are just spelling spells, magic spells here, magic spells here, magic spells here, right? And those spells, those words that we speak, is will and intent, right? So if you're speaking the good news and everything like that, that's the spell that you are putting on those people, is the good news, the love that they can have within themselves. Bringing that, hey, you can discover this light within you if you seek it and you will it to be. Hey, how is your day going? Give someone a smile. Say, hey, hi, how are you? Right? that's the spell that I bring on them. But some people put the spells, the magic spells of deceitfulness and oh, I just hate this. Why does this people do this? Be aware of the gossipers, people who talk behind people's backs and who curse people's names, right? Who spell people's names, be like, oh, why does that person do this? Oh, why does that person do that? Right? That's sending spells to the ether as well. So we have to be mindful that the power of words is magic spells at the end of the day. And you got to be able to stand your ground, control what you can, and put the magic spells out there of what you want to see in the world, right? If you want to see good news in the world, that's the kind of magic spells you got to be saying. The power of words, the power of spells at the end of the day. That's some deep stuff that definitely a lot of people will question, but it's need to be known. Let's see here. And the one on whom seed was sown and the good soil, this is the person who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and brings forth some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30. Right? The full circle or the full understanding of their fruits, right? Those who truly speak the good news, those are the good fruits, and that's what's going to blossom and grow. That's going to allow people's light to shine. It's not going to taste good when you first eat it, right? It'll taste good when you first eat it, but when it goes down, it tastes bitter and nasty, right? So, we just got to be able to know people's fruits at the end of the day. Let's see here. Christ presented another parable to them, saying, the kingdom of the I am, or the kingdom of heaven, may be compared to a person who sowed good seeds in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came and just destroyed their crops. But when the wheat sprouted and bore grain, then the tares became evident also. The slaves of the land owners came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does this, their field was destroyed? And he said to them, An enemy has done this. The slaves said to him, Do you want us then to go and gather them up? But he said, No. For while you are gathering up the tares, you may uproot the wheat with them. Allow both to grow together until the harvest. And in time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, First gather up the tares and bind them in bundles, burn them up, but gather the wheat into a barn. And what does that mean, right? What does that mean? That means don't be angry to your enemy, right? And this is a tough one, right? Even I go through this, right? Is that you know the seeds of these people, the disgusting nature of these people, but don't become the gossipers at the end of the day. Don't become the gossipers. Be like, oh, this person did this, oh, this person did that. No, got to be mature-minded. You got to swallow your pride and say, hey, I'm going to pray for this person that destroyed my field, right? I'm going to pray for this person that destroyed my field. They know not what they do, right? They know not what they do. And you're just going to have to rebuild. And you just have to learn on how to build a stronger foundation with Christ in your life and be able to guard and protect yourself, right? So if you have somebody that destroys your crop or destroys your property or something like that, right? Pray for them and look at ways to protect yourself better, right? To protect yourself. It's a testing grounds. Are you gonna trust in Christ, or are you gonna trust that the world is just a horrible place to live in, and that things are consistently just going to be bad stuff's going to happen to you? It's a mindset at the end of the day. How are you going to handle that situation if it arises? So be calm, cool, and collective. Hold your tongue, right? Because a lot of us really lack that holding of the tongue, right? The gnashing of teeth. But we have to swallow that pride and be like, hey, they were going through something. They need prayer. The law will take care of them for destroying my land. But at the end of the day, you're not doing that. They did it. They did it. Control what you can control. They done it. They've been accused. They've been judged. And the judge will take care of that at the end of the day. So don't fall into the ways of the gospel, I guess. Or don't fall into the ways of what that person did to you at the end of the day. Let's see. Christ presented in our other parables saying, the kingdom of heaven, or the kingdom of I am, is like a mustard seed, which a person took and sowed in his field. And this is smaller than all the other seeds, but when it is full grown, it is larger than the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and the nests in its branches will grow. Right? The nests in its branches will grow. And again, it just means that as you blossom in the Spirit, you're going to continue to grow and rise. And as your tree blossoms, it's going to grow fruit, right? And it will look beautiful and pleasing to the eyes. So we have to be that representation at the end of the day, is that what we're speaking of, we're living daily, right? We're not perfect. We're always going to slip up. We'll climb the mountain and fall, but we just have to dust ourselves off and climb that mountain again, right? And just continue to be rooted in that foundation, right? We got to have a foundation at the end of the day. Christ is my foundation. It can be a beautiful foundation for you as well. So, and he just continues on here. Let's see here. All these things Christ spoke to the crowds in parables, and he did not speak to them without a parable. So parables within parables within parables, right? And it's just so important to speak in parables at the end of the day, because it tests where you're at in life. Those who are on a spiritual journey, it's going to click with their ears and their eyes. But those who are not on a spiritual journey, or who do not want to let go of their ego or let go of their diverse nature, will not hear the Spirit, will not want anything to do with that spiritual journey, right? They'll just want the easy ticket. Be like, oh, I gave my life to Christ. That's it. Yeah, I'll go to church and that's about it, right? There's no growth within your tree. You're stuck at a baby tree and it's not growing, and eventually weeds are going to take over and that tree's going to die. So you got to spiritually grow in your mind, body, and spirit consistently, daily, talking and communicating with Christ daily. When you go through situations, we go through situations, and it's how you handle it and what kind of go home to place are you going to at the end of the day. Are you going to hate the world and hate the people, what they did to you, things like that? Are you just going to surrender what you experienced, whether it be anxiety or someone yelled at you, argued at you, or why did this person do this? But if you surrender and let it go, a lot of that is lifted off your shoulders, right? You still have to handle the situation the next day, but it's going to make you feel better at the end of the day. It's something that I learned daily as well. Sometimes life really is a struggle, and sometimes you don't want to be at these places. But never accept the outcome. Everything changes daily. Everything changes. Never get set in one way, because if you do, that carpet's just going to be swept under you, and you're going to be knocked on your butt, and be awoken in a hard way with a big bump on your head. So you got to be ready for change and ready to change your life at the end of the day, right? And that's where a spiritual journey is so very important, because that's going to help you when people pull that rug out from under you. So yeah, very interesting. Let's see. And he did not speak to them without a parable. This was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet. I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the foundation of the world. I will utter things hidden since the foundation of the world, right? All things are hidden, right? The world is filled with darkness. And it's not the darkness of the devil and demons and things like that. It's just that the world is surrounded by darkness because of a lack of knowledge and wisdom of what our ancient ancestors talked about, and just a lack of knowledge of the Spirit, the spiritual journey, learning how to communicate with the spirits that surround us, right? All these spirits are up in the heavens right now. All these stars and planets, right? These suns, these planets are all entities that watch this planet down here, right? The Testament of Solomon's a good example. That these planets all have different frequencies, and it communicates with the children of this world, right? It communicates and spreads its seeds to the women of this world, right? It's a parable right there. It's a parable right there, in that the giants, right? The giants messed with the women of the world, and their seeds produced offsprings in these women of the earth, right? It's the spirits. The spirits, when we are born into the womb, and I talked about this before, as above, so below. So when the sperm goes into the egg, you also got the soul coming down from the heavens. So as above, so below. So the sperm goes into the egg, and the soul goes into the egg, and then boom, you got life right there, right? It all just comes together as a whole. As above, so below happens when a baby is born. It's beautiful, it is, but you got to realize that it's two worlds coming and colliding together. It's not just, oh, you're born in this body, and this body is this mind here. No, it's the soul was given life, like Frankenstein, right? Life, bring life, allow the thunder, right? Lightning was that lightning representation of Thor, the god Thor. In Frankenstein, like there's an old Frankenstein movie, right? They were praising the god of Thor, right? To bring life to Frankenstein, right? To bring life to Frankenstein. Live, live. And then the lightning of Thor, boom, went to Frankenstein and then gave life to Frankenstein. Gave that Frankenstein a soul, right? The power of Thor. It's a good analogy. It's another parable. Of what we have to look at, is that there would be no spark of life if there was not a soul attached to it. Scientifically proven that some force leaves our body when we die. There is an energy ball that leaves our body, right? And that's us. That's our essence right there. And it's powerful. And that's that parable. And that's something I need to talk about more, is that is what that means, is that the souls, the energies above us, the planets, we come down onto this earth, and then we're born into these vessels. So that's powerful stuff there, man. So I think that's pretty much it. I've already been talking an hour and 17 minutes. Yeah, that's definitely it. So at the end of the day, that's what we just have to realize at the end of the day, is that we have the power of choice, right? We have the power of choice. We have the power to either accept the gnashing of teeth and become the gnashing of teeth within our lives, or we can learn to surrender that gnashing of teeth, right? Gnashing of teeth translates as anger, irrational thinking, things of that nature. But we have to be awake and aware, start that spiritual journey, and start talking and communicating with the Creator. The power of prayer and meditation is key. If you've never done that before, you just got to just sit down and close your eyes and just surrender at the end of the day. We can't change everybody. We can't change people's views, and that's not our job. That's not our job. That's not how you spread the good news of the gnashing of teeth. That's what I was saying earlier, is that Christians feel the way of spreading the good news is the gnashing of teeth, and it's not. They're doing the exact opposite of what you're supposed to be doing, right? You're not supposed to be spreading bad news and that the end of the world is coming and the rapture and all this crap, right? It gets lots of views. People love bad news. For some odd reason, this world loves bad news. About, even 90% of people love bad news, right? They feed it. They nurture it. It's a living entity. Bad news is a living entity that people give energy to. So to spread the good news, right, is just to be mature minded and say, hey, this worked in my life. I discovered the light of Christ, and if you want to discover the light of Christ, let's sit down and talk. Let's sit down and talk. You don't have to preach on no street. Those who preach on the street, that's not the way you spread the good news. It's a lack of knowledge, right? It's a lack of good fruit. People listen to human tongue. People listen to these false prophets. False prophets are everywhere. Literally, a false prophet is just a person who is wearing a meat suit. Your body is a meat suit. And people are listening to a physical version instead of communicating with the Creator, with Christ. That's how you discover it. Say, you hear about Christ? Oh, okay, well, I need to go and pray and meditate. Let me go discover Christ for myself. Not just assume or have a belief that there is a Christ. You need to discover Christ in your life. And that's the next wave that we're going into. That's what Kingdom Talks, if you go to Kingdom Talks, was it kingdomtalksmedia.com? Kingdomtalks.com? Something like that. I'll have to get the right link so I can promote them more. But Gail has created the term next ager, and that's where we're going into that next level of like, how can we talk to people about the good news of the Creator and the good news of Christ in a way that's mature and in a way that can talk to all walks of life, right? We live in a diverse world at the end of the day, and all we can do is just share our testimonies, and realize, hey, I accept you for who you are. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're angry or bitter some days, right? That's what you're going through. At the end of the day, all that I'm here to let you know is that if you feel there's something missing in your life and you would like to experience love and hope and a light within your life, it's already in there within you. If you would like to experience that, let's sit down and let's discover it together. And that's it. We just have to learn on how to talk with people at the end of the day, right? It's about claiming back our birthright. That was a video I was wanting to make, but a gnashing of teeth came up. So it's learning on how to help people claim back their birthright, which is their soul at the end of the day. Rediscovering their birthright at the end of the day. Because we're born into world of programs, we get distracted by these programs, right? We live in the world of Garden of Eden, and weeds are everywhere, destruction is everywhere, and there's so many ways on how we'll eat these apples. They look good, but when we eat it, it tastes sweet. But when we swallow it, it tastes bitter and just nasty. So we just have to just help people discover that light within them at the end of the day. So diversity is key. We have to learn how to talk with them universally. We have to read the Bible differently, in a whole new way, and we just got to just get ready to talk to the next generation that is being born right now, because that generation is going to be the generation that will show the fruits of what we're planting right now. We see change. People are waking up every day. We see all the darkness of the government. We're seeing all of that being brought out into the light. We see all the deceitfulness, all the politics. We see the politics of business, right? We see the ones who only care about money, and we see the businesses who care about the people and their employees, right? We're seeing all the real fruits right now unfold. We're seeing all the real prophets and seers and rabbis coming into light, and we're seeing all the false prophets and false seers and false rabbis in the light as well. We're learning right now the good fruit from the bad fruit, and we're just picking out the bad fruit now, exposing the bad fruit now, so then when the new generation that is being born now will have good fruit to continue on. This is this is the beginning of the next stage, right? This is the beginning of a new generation of hope, and cutting off all of these ancestral curses, right? These birthrights that we've been born into. A lot of it has curses, so we're breaking the curses. We're breaking off the chains right now, one by one. We're claiming back our birthright, our soul, one by one. And that's why it's so important to share your testimony, and that it's loving. You've discovered that light, and we're getting ready for the next phase, right? Maturity is key at the end of the day, and that's definitely something I want to end that with. Maturity is key. Spiritual journey is key, right? For those who seek a spiritual journey, you will discover a light that you never thought would ever be there. A light that is full of love and hope and understanding, and just that guiding light that will help you through all those trials and tribulations that we all go through in life at the end of the day. You know, we got to have a go home to place at the end of the day. And that's so very important at the end of the day. So yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I could keep going on and on. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. Change starts with you, and your spiritual journey starts with you. If you want to claim back your birthright, your soul, you have to go back and pray and meditate and just listen and learn and grow. Things don't happen overnight, but over time, if you're consistent with anything that you do, you will see progress and you will see change in your life. You will see the love of Christ shine through you, and you will be able to communicate better with the Creator as each day passes, right? Trials and tribulations will always be a part of your life, but an outcome of good will always come from it at the end of the day. You just got to communicate and fellowship with the Creator in Christ every day. So yeah, again, I could talk forever. So love yourself, keep shining bright. Again, if you watch me on YouTube, just type in Starseed Bey. Subscribe, turn on notifications, so you know when I put videos out. You can also reach me at facebook.com/realtalk. Bey. That's the page to get a hold of me. I post my live videos on there. Later on, I put them on YouTube, as well as I post little blogs and things like that on there as well. So that's my main page. If by some weird chance Facebook, YouTube goes away, I will be making a website. Don't know when, but it will happen. So if I ever disappear for a little bit, just keep typing Starseed Bey. Eventually I will pop up and I will have a website there as well. I'm also on the Fringe Radio Network.com, so definitely go to that page. I just started on there, so I only have like one thing on there, but it is going to be building and growing, and I'm going to be working with Iron Johnny. He has a show called The Iron Show on there. Definitely check that out, Johnny Iron. And we'll be building stuff on there as well. I'm also on Spreaker.com/Adam Starseed Bey. I believe that's the link. So yeah, so I'm getting out there, but you know, it's just realizing that we all have to work together, share our testimonies out there, be real, be authentic, be that real talk, be that inspiration. You know, I don't have all the answers, but there is that testimony that will help you, aid you in your life to have a better life at the end of the day. So yeah, so love yourself, keep shining bright. I'll talk to y'all later.